So good morning to all of you and welcome to Namaste. The experience of Namaste. I could say welcome to Namaste Village, but some of you are in the village and some of you are outside the village, but none of you are outside the experience. Whether you choose to feel and to know that experience or not, that's up to you. I say, why not? Here you are. The experience is all around you. That's just another way of saying the peace of God is all around you. The light of God is all around you. So why not now? Why not let this be the moment that I choose to undergo an experience that is wholly unlike anything else that I've ever done before. One that breaks me free from all of these constraints and restraints, all of these chains, all of these ideas and concepts that have bound me with nothing. These constraints, these constraints and restraints are nothing really, but ideas. So why have I chosen to be limited by such strange ideas when I can break free into the experience simply by choosing that over everything else? For it to be a single whole choice. That's all I need to do. It's so simple. That's why we say, how simple is salvation? Because it is, it's a choice. The problem is that we've been choosing the other so consistently for so long that there doesn't really seem to be a choice. This is just how it is. This is just where I am, who I am. But that's only through consistency. And when we join together as we are here, all we're really doing is consistently making a new choice until that choice, the choice of full liberation, the choice of the experience that surpasses understanding, becomes the only thing we know. So once again, why not now? We're here. We're in this experience of Namaste, so why not now? Why wait for heaven? As the line goes, you're only closing your eyes. Open and see, finally see the heaven that has always been all around you. When you hear those words, you might think, oh, come on, you're oversimplifying. Am I? Maybe it's not being oversimplified. Maybe it's the opposite. I'm overcomplicating. That's more like it. I've overcomplicated how simple this is by thinking I need to do this, I need to do that, 5,000 million other things that I need to do in order to be who I've always been. Wow, when you put it like that, it's rather simple. What if I need to do nothing? What if all I really need to do is to accept that I am ready right now? In 1995, when I was with the emissaries of light in the mountains of Croatia and Bosnia, that was their only message. They just said, tell people you're ready. That's all you need to do, is to say yes to your readiness, instead of saying, I'll be ready when? After I've done this or that or read these books or whatever it is in our mind. No, you're ready right now. All you need to do is to relax. And that's why the lesson, I rest in God, is so important. And to know that the highest and the very best outcome is waiting for you right now. It is unfolding in your life. It's not that it will unfold one day. It is unfolding in your life. Whether you like it or not, it's there. We just have to, enjoy it. Enjoy the unfolding, no matter what it looks like. Sometimes it may even look chaotic. That's all right. That just means you're sorting through things, you're letting go of the things that don't serve that experience. So we just enter into that with joy, with love. We enter into every moment, no matter what, knowing that everything is conspiring to the highest good, to the awakening. And then I just rest in that. So every now and then when I'm reading something, a line or a sentence will jump out at me. And it doesn't even matter where that line or sentence may be. But there are a couple that I would like to share. They're very short, one line each. But I realize that sometimes a very simple idea or just a few words like that can be like a very deep, deep lake. A lake that is so deep that it's almost impossible for us to know where it ends. I think of Lake Chapala right down the road here. Lake Chapala, if you've never been here, is a very big lake. It goes many, many miles one way, many miles the other way, but it's not a very deep lake. It's a rather shallow lake. And that's why it's often in danger. If a terrible drought were to come or anything else, it would be in danger because it doesn't have that depth. But there are other lakes. I'm going back to Oregon today, so I think of, say, Crater Lake. Beautiful. Not as big as Lake Chapala by any means, but deep, very deep. I'm not sure they even know how deep it is. Maybe they do, but it's deep. We are being called to be like Crater Lake. We are being called to dive to the deepest part of who we are. And sometimes one sentence, one idea can trigger that experience. That's how these were with me. So the first one is simply this: God expresses God. And that expression appears as you. God can only express God. Allness can only express allness, wholeness. Wholeness cannot express anything other than that. It's impossible, because that would mean that it has become less than what it is, less than whole. And the moment we accept that totally and allow that experience, that wholeness can only express wholeness, God can only express God, then we can also experience that that expression must extend as you. You are contained within that wholeness. You are contained within that allness. Deal with it. Why not? I mean, why not deal with that as opposed to dealing with the shallow lake that we think we are? Why not realize that the depth and the truth of who I am is beyond my imagination? But it is God expressing only God. Wholeness expressing only wholeness. Anything else is impossible. That's an experience. Anything else is impossible. There will be a moment in your awakening where suddenly that clicks. My God, that's it. There won't be any words. There'll hardly be even the shred of an idea. They'll all just disappear into this vast depth. God can only express God. Anything else is impossible. So that was the first. The second one I like even more. Healing is an act through which two minds perceive their oneness and become glad. Once again, healing is an act through which two minds perceive their oneness and become glad. Where two minds, what seem to be two minds, become one. And in that oneness are completely filled with joy. You've I'm sure seen me do my silly little finger exercise to illustrate what oneness and duality are. It's like a child's game, but it works so well. If you've never done it before, or even if you have done it, try it with me. Take your finger, put it out in front of you, and look at it. Look right directly at your finger, focus on it, and you'll see one finger. But now, with your finger in the same place, look to the other side of the room. Let your focus leave the finger, but focus on, I'm focusing on the wall way out there. Maybe you're focusing on the wall behind me here. And what do you see? Two fingers. Suddenly the one becomes two. But all I need to do is to come and refocus back on my single finger, and what was always one is seen and as finally only one. My finger didn't change. I didn't suddenly grow another finger, right? You never actually left heaven. But when your focus shifts from out there to in here, I see that which has always been seen, that which has always been known. And that's what this is saying. Healing is an act through which two minds perceive their oneness, where the focus has changed and they perceive oneness and are glad. They become glad. The joy that surpasses this world. There is a richness within this experience that can never be described, can never be expressed through concepts, but it can be known. So once again, God expresses God, and that expression appears as you. And healing is an act through which two minds perceive their oneness, and in perceiving their oneness, they become glad. A joy that lifts us like being in a hot air balloon above this world, and we float there. So why not today? Why not right now? Why not untether that balloon that is already filled with heat, with the fire, already filled completely to the point that it's wanting to leave, it's wanting to lift, and all we need to do is to untether, to cut those ropes. Why not today? Anyway, I'd love to hear what Vicky has to say about that. Vicky, hello, good morning. Are you out there?
I'm right here, James. I'm
Good
right here,
morning,
Brother
everyone.
James. Good morning. Well, I loved all the analogies, and I'm living into all of them this very day. Our brother Rod sent me an email with that unity quote that you read off the board that goes into I rest in God. And having fallen flat in my face this morning by looking at splits instead of allness, I appreciated the reminder to shift. So what I realize is what tethers me when I fall flat on my face and judge a brother is that great example you just did with the one finger up and looking away. When I look away, the oneness is not in focus anymore. And it does look like duplicity all over the place. And resting in God and trusting, that's what the unity lesson was, trusting, then I'm focusing on the one reality that I share in. And the shallow waters of the lake to me are nothing but what I'm looking at when I look away from the light. I see nothing but shallow waters of judgment. So thanks for helping me, because I judged my brother this morning, and as you might have guessed. And then I realized, all judgment is just shallow water. It doesn't amount to beans, and who cares? And why don't I let it go anyway? So I did, and focus on just what's one. And then the other thing that I love that you brought up is that any two minds that are joined, healing becomes natural, are made glad, because joined in one purpose is again focusing on that same oneness and that allness of God. And as I rest into it and let go of everything else, there's nothing else, that everything else comes in a clear focus, because I'm resting in the one lens that is what I am. So, and then the beauty, yesterday you participated over the weekend in Bill and Lisa's Pure Presence conference. And I felt that that was a great example of two brothers, Bill and Lisa, joining in their holiness of one purpose that they share. We're able to give a gift to the world of vision and healing. And it's what we do every day when we join in one purpose to rest in the light of God, to rest and be aware of our own divinity. Everything comes into focus through that. And then the other focus just falls away because it wasn't anything. It was just distortion anyway. So all the shallow images and tetherings are just distortions. And it is that simple. And I want it to stay that simple. I just have to step back, let go of those judgments. Just let them go. Drop into the love of God out there. And then the rest will take care of itself. It'll all unfold by the highest and best of God's plan. Thank you, Jimmy, and thank you, Teddy, my brother, for delivering the lesson right to my door.
I had a feeling I knew who triggered that wonderful lesson. All right, so Teddy, it's all yours.
Well, that seems to be my best quality. Think of me as a lesson in forgiveness. Um, I was laughing from the first thing that you said. It really is true. When I pick up the course, it's like a joke book half the time. When you said it's impossible to do this alone, and it's not that it's impossible to do, it's impossible to be alone because that's the nature of the separation. Thinking we can and have to do this alone is the problem because alone is what separation is. And the whole teaching is you're not separate. When the experience comes, you know that with a certainty that doesn't require repeating because it's eternal. So we have this eternal experience of being eternally one in reality, and that makes every other memory we have illusory and not true. So it's just always interesting. It's like in these little phrases, there's these incredible jokes, and you really, at the tiny mad idea, you got to remember to laugh at all of this. And when you first opened your mouth and began to say that, I started laughing right away, just because it really is so against the nature of the true experience of knowing of oneness and having the separation healed in my mind that you could even, you know, and people hear it the wrong way. What you said, it's impossible to do this alone. They think it's impossible to do it. That's not what it's saying. It's impossible that you're alone to have to do this, is what's actually being said. So it's just interesting when we hear it from the egoic side of separation. It's always validating the misunderstanding and the misperception. When we hear it from the right mind, it's always validating the truth of who we are and the truth of us being one with our brother. It's just interesting. And you got to be happy that you're not alone and separate. That's all I can say. Because that is what joy is. Being joined as one with God and all our brothers is what happiness is, what joy is. And that's pretty much the way life is here, I guess.
Mm. Yes, thank you. I've always loved the the laughing saints from any tradition who just observe the absurdity of the split mind and get to the point where all they can do is laugh at it because they recognize that it's just a big joke that we have refused to get until the moment you do get it. And then you got it. It may take a while, but the whole idea that I could do this on my own or that it needs to be done at all is absurd. There's nothing for you to do. There's nowhere for you to go. You never left heaven except in your imagination. Just deal with that. Be happy about that. Don't try and figure the rest of it out. Let it figure you out. Just get out of the way and let it be done. Just dive to the deepest part.
And without the experience, it's just acceptance. If you accept all things exactly as they are and not
Yes.
try to judge what things are, the acceptance brings about the truth because what's real can't be threatened and what's unreal doesn't exist. It's simply that way. Now, if you just accept that and let that do the sorting out in your mind based on the acceptance of it, eventually this experience must come because it has to work. It cannot not work.
Amen. What more do you need? Lesson closed. Let's go home. Literally, let's just go home. All right. So we're going to open it up for some prayers now. And I do want to say that I am going to be taking the rest of the week off from the morning session. I'll be leaving today to go back to Portland, bringing 4 lovely dogs with me to find new homes. One of whom is this wonderful German Shepherd puppy that I've been fostering for the last month and a half. She'll be going back to Portland to her new home. And so I'm going to just rest myself. I'm going to rest in God for a few days myself with my daughter and granddaughter, but I will be back. And David will be here, Vicky and Teddy will be here, others will be here. So I hope you can continue to join us. So let's go ahead